In this one, we're going to be talking about how to filter down our list view by using built-in Django filters. We're also going to do it by using a query, much like what we did in the post list stuff for the actual blog project. So outside the API, we're going to do something very similar to this. This is actually what we're going to start off with because this is what we used in our main project. I want to do this exact same thing for our post list. I'm going to go ahead and copy this right here. And we're going to jump into our post list API view, and we're going to override this get query set method. So that is something we mentioned already, but basically what we're going to do here is just override the default method that's coming through there. And it's going to be very simple. We'll do self and then args and then keyword args. And we are going to paste in that query stuff. So here it is right here. Now, first of all, we have to get that query set list, or the first query set. And to do that, I'm just going to set it equal to what get query set defaults to, which is going to be post.objects.all. For us, that's what we're going to default it to. You could also default it to what the class would do, which would be super, and that's post list API view, self, and then dot get query set, args, and keyword args. Now this and this is redundant. So we actually don't need both of these things. We only need one of them. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this. Actually, I'll leave it in as a comment so you can see it, but we really don't need it. And we also don't need this query set attribute any longer either. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that out and paste that here. Come in here, and we're going to return query set list. Now do note that this is not a whole lot different than what we've already seen. We're getting our main query set. If there's not a query in the URL itself, it's just going to return back that main query set. Now, of course, this right here, we could filter it down to, let's say, user equals to self.request.user. So that would start that filter. But since it's a post, we don't want to filter down the user. We are just going to leave it as .all. And since we're using the Q lookups, we actually have to import that as well. So at the very top, we're going to do from django.db.models import Q. If you don't do this, this query set stuff will absolutely fail. So now that we've got that, let's go ahead and take a look. We jump into our list view here, and we get global name or request is not defined. So let's see why. And that's this right here. Now, this is a class-based view, so we have to use self.request in order for that to work. Refresh, it comes back. And now here, if we want to actually query this, we could do $Q equals to, and let's just say, I'll say new post. And we get nothing, right? But if I just did new post without the quotes, I will get the related item. So new post without the quotes, it gives us that. And again, new post lowercase, it still gives us that too. So the query itself could be improved and stuff like that, but that's not something we're going to cover here. We definitely talk about it more in our Django models stuff on joincfe.com. But as far as the query is concerned, we have now created a pretty solid query. So first name I contains, we have that. If we actually look in the admin, it will probably help us with the first name query. Log in, users, CFE. There is no first name. I'll just say mine and first and full name. So now if I do that same query and say Justin, it's now going to look for that user, and it's showing us what the query is right there. Cool. So that's one way to do it. That is not the only way to do it. There is, like with many things in programming, there is another way, and there's a built-in way with the REST framework for the filters that come with it. So this is actually coming from the documentation, but we're going to explain it as we go. So we'll do filter, and we're going to import two different kinds. The first filter is the search filter, and the second one is the ordering filter. All right, so the search filter, we're going to come down back into our class down here, our list view class, and we're going to do filter backends, and we're going to equals to search filter. And then I'll set search fields equal to the fields I want to search. So title, content, user first name, not I contains, but just user first name. There we go. So we have search fields. This should look pretty familiar to the admin itself. We have list filter versus search filter, but we also have search fields here, just like what we've seen. So we go back, search fields. It's not a whole lot different there. So that's obviously it's emulating things that Django does very well. So now that we've got that, let's actually add in, let's make sure we're doing, and it is a little import error here. It is actually from filters, not filter. And there we go. So we refresh in here, and I'm going to get rid of that first get request and just change this to search, and I'll say Justin. And again, same stuff's coming up. Search, new post, same stuff's coming up as the other query is concerned. The nice thing though too is I can chain this, and I can say search and Q equals to here, just here. And it's actually doing two searches now for me. It's doing the Q search, which is this one, and then it's doing the built-in search, which is this stuff right here. Kind of cool. It's actually narrowing it down even more for us. Now, Django REST framework has a requested or a suggested filter, an even more in-depth filter, which is the Django filter. This is a third-party filter that works with the API, but it also works without the API, so just regular Django. We actually cover that in the e-commerce 2 API project because it goes into a lot more detail with products and pricing and stuff like that. So that is something to note. But there's one more thing that we did import, and that was order filter or ordering filter. Let's go ahead and add that into our filter backends. And now what we can do is actually change the ordering based off of a get parameter as well. And we just say ordering equals to, and I'll say title. Of course, I only have one thing in here, so let's actually get rid of Q. And we see now ordering going into title. If I put a dash in front of it or minus, it will reverse that order. And that's the same thing with user. And then again, if I put a dash in front of it, it reverses that order. You can do this with publish as well. And these are published not the same. So if I replace it, it will adjust accordingly. Pretty cool. So that is how we do some basic filtering here as far as getting our search and how that is concerned. So if you have any questions on what we did here, let us know. Otherwise, let's keep going.